This continues our lesson on ratios. And the question here is, according to the table, who has the greater ratio of rock CDs to pop CDs, Luis or Anna? And if we look, we see that Luis has 9 rock CDs. He has 9 rock CDs and 24 pop CDs. So to write, I'm just going to write, well, let's change the color. I'm going to write Luis. And the ratio from rock to pop, and I'll write that off to the side, is ratio of rock to pop. You would write rock. And I'll write the ratio like this, to pop. We could write it in a fraction, or we could write it with 2 in between. But you read them all the same. The ratio of rock to pop for Luis is 9 to 24. That's the ratio of rock to pop. And then for Anna, the ratio of rock to pop would be 28 to 70. Now, when we compare ratios, we need to actually write the ratios as fractions. So even though I wrote them this way, we're going to have to now write them as fractions. So we can write the ratio for Luis as 9/24, or the ratio of 9 to 24. You can read it that way. And for Anna is going to be 28 to 70. So the first step when you're comparing ratios, is to write them as fractions. So write them as fractions. And then if you remember from working with fractions, when you compare fractions, you need the same denominator. So we could either convert these fractions so that they have the same denominator. We could find a common denominator. Or another way that we can compare them is to write the fractions as decimals. And that may be easier in this case, to write these two fractions as decimals. And then that's a real easy way to compare them. So if we write 9/24 as a decimal, now you could do the division, you could do it longhand by writing 9 divided by 24. Well, 24 doesn't go into 9, so you'd put 0, and then you add a decimal. You add a 0. 24 does go into 90. It goes in 3 times. And that would be 3 times 4 would be 12. And 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 1 is 72. And 90 minus 72 will give you 18. Then you add another 0, bring the 0 down. And 24 goes into 180 7 times. 7 times 4 will give you 28. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 2 is 16. 180 minus 68 will give you 12. Right? Because we borrow a 1, 10 minus 8 is 2, and then 7 minus 6 is 1, and the 1's cancel out. And now we add another 0. And 24 goes into 125 times. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. And that's our decimal, 0.375. So Luis's ratio of 9/24 can be converted to a decimal of 0.375. Now, if we did the same thing with Anna's, we would find out that 28 divided by 70 when we convert that to a decimal is going to be 0.4 or 4/10. Now, we're at a point here where we can compare these two. We can compare these two. And which one is larger? Well, the question we wanted to find out was, according to the table, who has the greater ratio of rock CDs to pop CDs? So remember, these are decimals that we converted from ratios of rock CDs to pop CDs. And the one who has the biggest ratio is Anna. Anna has the greater ratio because 0.4 is greater than 0.375. So Anna has the greater ratio of rock to pop CDs. And I hope this makes a little bit of sense. Comparing ratios, it's important that you convert them to a decimal, or if they're equivalent fractions, that's easy to compare as well.